me. Mark Bolin, your time has expired. I told you on the 4th of January that you're wrong to trouble me, and I will give you a political backsliding. One and the only third-term Labour rights.
So the Member of Parliament, Donovan Williams, was addressing the crowd, and, as is usual, we had thrown to the stage, so we were watching the proceedings, making note of what was being said, and then I heard what sounded to me initially popping sounds. First, I think I heard two which were faint, and then probably two or three more that were louder, and then the crowd behind the stage started running, scattering in all different kinds of directions. And then it took me a minute to realize that those were gunshots. A police unit that was on location, the officers quickly jumped out of their vehicles, guns at the ready, and then they went. I suppose they were trying to get a sense of what was happening because it was a big crowd and the crowd was scattering. And then they jumped back into their vehicles and drove in the direction that the sounds came from. And then another vehicle, another police vehicle came on location. Of course, those who were watching the stream would have realized that the MP, I suppose, based on where they were in front of where it happened. So I gather from talking to people who were on the stage that they didn't immediately hear the sounds, but that the fact that people started to run onto the stage is what alerted them that there was gunfire. And he ducked down, and then of course those who were watching the scene, Lawrence Rowe, and I think Fabian Brown, who was chairing the proceedings, looking in the direction of the sounds, and then appealing for calm as people started to get agitated.
Mm-hmm. And where was the meeting? Where in Central Kingston was the meeting?
So it was at the intersection of Hitchin and Great George's Street. Hitchin, right. So St. Matthew's Anglican Church was a key landmark. So we were in the parking lot of the church. And then the stage was facing, I suppose, what would be Great George's Street, and the Labour Rights were sort of crammed into it. Sort of like a lane, Labour Rights were crammed into it. It was pretty densely packed. And then because it was so densely packed, you had a lot of people who had come on a little later, so they were behind the stage. So from where we were sitting, we were seeing the back of the stage, and then the crowd was in front of us.
Mm-hmm. And for how long was the incident lasted for before order was restored?
I'd say probably a minute and a half. I mean, after the initial scattering and the appeal for calm, there was a sense of defiance. People were saying, don't run, stand up. Now, mind you, I'm not used to hearing gunshots. So as you can imagine, I was a little bit taken aback. Mm-hmm. But people were saying, remain calm. And then the chair of the meeting quickly called the meeting back to order, and the MP tried to power through it. I mean, if you watch, you can see that he was clearly uncomfortable as he continued. But the disruption wasn't very long.
Yes.
And I think that was also as a result of how quickly the police responded. They really, because they were parked just beside where we were sitting. Mm-hmm. And the moment the sound started, they alighted from the vehicle in a split second, weapons at the ready. And then once they scanned the situation because the crowd started running, they got back into the vehicle immediately and drove in the direction.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, no one was injured. And we're learning from Superintendent Williams this morning that it was an altercation between some men nearby, but it was politically related or motivated. That is...
Yeah, it wouldn't have been very far from where the stage was. As I said, I heard them very, very clearly. The sounds were very clear. And the crowd ran from where the sounds were and to the point that some people ended up onto the stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you would have heard the sentiments expressed by members of the crowd last evening. What were those like, Ricardo?
Right. So one of the things that I quickly picked up when I got there was Labour were saying for them to be having the meeting at that location, they considered it to be a historic sort of thing. And an indication of their dominance, I suppose, or emergence as a strong political force in Central Kingston. Because what I gathered from them is that they wouldn't normally in the past have been able to gather in that location, right? And they thought it was a sign of progress and the fact that their political organization was strong to be able to have a meeting there. But there was a defiance. After it died down and, they were milling around, talking among themselves, there was defiance that they won't be intimidated and they would continue to have their meetings. And they did. They did. I mean, the Deputy Leader, Desmond McKenzie, when he took to the stage, he really had a message of unity and peace, saying that he doesn't want any war, and he's urging everybody to get home safely, not to be provoked, not to respond. The Member of Parliament said similar things, and of course you'd have heard the MP Darrell Vaz, who was in the news from West Portland. He's saying that they're not afraid of gunshots. So
yes,
there was defiance, and there was also a call for unity and calm.
Yeah. Well, on the stage itself, I gather the former PNP caretaker turned Labourite, Lawrence Rowe, stole the show. Yes?
He's quite a character.
Well, let me play for all our listeners, yes, the video and the audio of what Mr. Rowe said last night from a GLP political platform in Central Kingston.
Psalm 19, verse 14. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Shower, Laborites, and to my PNP family who are also here, shower. Shout. Special greetings to the workers, warriors, and the leadership of Era Council 1, and to our very own impact boss, Donovan Williams. We believe in the impact then, and we're going to continue the impact onwards ever until them stun him. So hear me now. I was in Westmoreland and I told the Labourites there that I was born at the Victoria Jubilee Hospital. And then my mother took me home in Alman Town. And just like how Mark Bolin wants accountability, we want to see a birth paper to know if you're an authentic Jamaican. So, how do you know me? I was born here, grew here, do business here, into many relationships here, met many friends here, and have a few foes. I have served this constituency on a political and non-political basis. How do you know I'm not tribal? Labourites and PNP love me alike. I walk everywhere without fear and favor and without security. Because I look like you, sound like you, I am from you, and you know where me born, grew, and raised. All of us went through the same hardships together. And we know we can do it together. We know that this constituency have been loyal to one political party for many decades. We know that we have been rebelling up to 2016 when the JLP grew by 45% and the P by 4%. We knew that come 2020, things would take a turn. When I stepped forward in 2016 and challenged Ronald to it, I was the sole nominee and Paul Burke mash up the conference. 2 years later, the Butcher conference and said the member of parliament who was here for 20 years defeated me by 14 votes. What can go so? 7 months later, he was sent his marching orders by Peter David Phillips, and a selection process opened, and he was told in no uncertain terms that he couldn't enter. The batch a process and a young lady evolved. But just as how we got rid of one addict then, we're going to get rid of another one now. Because we know that Donovan now turn up on the gambling house with the CDF money. We know the impact boss, no partial whether you have PMP or labor rights. Franklin Town is the strongest PMP community. And in 1 week, they requested the resurfacing of their football field, and they got it. In 1 week, Rayton Fishing Village, who have been loyal to the People's National Party, have been without light, street light for decades, and one phone call to my member of parliament. And Rayton Fishing Village have street lights, solar street lights. So we don't worry about JPS, who never cared about repairing the street lamps. Our impact boss delivered for us. I supported him in 2020 in rebellion of what was taking place in this constituency. When you look across this constituency, we were living in high degradation. Sanitation was poor. People were parachuting them in the scandal bag and throw it. That is what we were living in. As an observer, where some people in Raytown Fishing Village are call on the MP and the councillor to deal with sewage condition down there. I can tell you, it took hours for him to deal with it, and they have been living like that for decades. They are a set of ungrateful people. But to you, my young people, I know that you are not tribal. I know that you are not loyal to any one party. I know that your parents can't tell you who to vote for because you want better for yourself and your family to come. We know that our impact boss, when fire take away, him not come ask about well entitled to steal our property. Him provide material at PMP or JLP and him take care of the PMP more. The people them down the south side burn out and them not get no assistance from him yet. But a whole heap of PMP get burned out and them get assistance after assistance after assistance. And some man come at them place and give them one toilet paper, one toothpaste, one toothbrush, one soap or drop. That's all. And just 3 weeks ago, he did the same. We don't want that. We want real development in Central Kingston. Because I supported him and held his hand in 2020, and I was never afraid then, and it was never a secret. So nobody feel as if I was hiding anything. All of you in Central Kingston know that I supported Donovan then. And I told the PMP that I was supporting Donovan. They tried sending me to Eastern St. Thomas to help Fenton Ferguson. Then they sent me to West Rural, St. Andrew, in the Reddit division. I had to mobilize my own money to finance my stay there. But I knew then deep down that I had to come home and vote for Donovan, and I didn't care about it. And when I walked to the polling station, and the PMP was just right there, I walked right past them. So I never treat them. I step right in. And when I marked that ballot, I kissed it and said, this is it. Because I have never ever voted for a loser.
Jamaica, nobody for stone, nobody fight, we did a feel your labor right. No shake the boat because a woman will like, we did a feel your labor right. The river come down green, it's a pity I'm right.
So, I see a little man who I don't know where I'm born came here and took some liberty with me. I talk about shenanigans and real man. Let me remind him I protected you politically and in business, saved you millions of dollars when some were now in Central St. Mary, bled your company, and all I received was a text message and a report for work and protect my investment. I protected you politically when I had to fork out over 500,000 to sponsor your nomination, and I had to wait for months and up to now I don't get my full reimbursement. How dare you? I have the email threads to prove it. The shenanigans that I did to protect you and the signatures that I had to sign allowed you to remain president of the PMP today. When the conference concluded and the resolution to allow the leader not to be challenged for 2 years was not passed, I moved a motion to reconvene conference, and you are now president today, and you cannot be challenged until after general election. Me do that. I wanted to release the poll findings since I was Central Kings. Neither you, Damian Crawford, Lisa Anna, Peter Bunting, and all the brand names in the PMP never poll as high as me. Mark Bolin, your time has expired. I told you on the 4th of January that you're wrong to trouble me, and I will give you a political backsliding, one and the only third term labor rights.